7 years on, the games are about to begin once again in Jigsaw. Hello everyone, it's me Ben Almaden and I'm here today for my highly anticipated, for me personally, review of Jigsaw. As the old saying goes, if it's Halloween it must be Saw, and after a long 7-year wait we finally have a new Saw movie in the 8th instalment, Jigsaw. So I should start by saying this is going to be a spoiler-free review. I'm going to be doing a separate video going into spoiler territory because obviously after 7 years away, a new Saw movie raises a lot of questions and theories to be discussed. So I'm going to be doing that in a separate video, so stay tuned for that. But for now, it's a spoiler-free review of the movie. So the movie is directed by Michael and Peter Spierig, who you may know as the directors of Predestination, and it's written by the screenwriters of Piranha 3D, Pete Goldfinger and Josh Stolberg. Now, you may remember when the film came out, I was highly unsure of, having the Piranha 3D writers on board because it's so different from Saw, two different types of horror, a horror comedy to something like Saw, and I wasn't sure whether these guys were fit for the job. But you know what? They haven't done a bad job. They haven't done a bad job. And the directors, I've got to say that visually, it reminds me a lot of the earlier Saw movies, and I like that. In terms of the plot of the film, I've seen some people saying it reminds them of Saw 2. Be honest with you, it reminds me more of Saws 4 and 5. Now, I liked Saw 5, Saw 4 I didn't. But don't let this be a thing that puts you off thinking, oh, hang on, it's like one of the two least favourite entries of the series, because it's done better than those movies. It's like how to do Saw 4 and 5 right, and it's better than Saw 3D. Is it better than the first three Saws or Saw 6? No, it isn't. It's not the best Saw film. I'm going to put that out there now, but it's definitely not the worst either. So it's been 7 years since we last had a Saw film, and obviously, it was kind of wrapped up in a neat little bubble with an open ending, with Dr. Gordon and his mysterious accomplices. However, I don't think it's really a spoiler to say this. Dr. Gordon is not a part of this film at all. So straight off the bat, it's not carrying on his story that was opened up in Saw 3D. So the movie opens with detectives Holleran and Keith, played by Callum Keith Rennie and Clay Bennett. They're investigating something that happens at the beginning of the movie that leads them to believe that there is a new Jigsaw game going on for the first time in 7 years. So as one event happens, another begins, and we see a game start with 5 new individuals. And they work their way through Jigsaw's wicked traps. And the question that's on everyone's mind is, is Jigsaw really back? And we seem to be getting a lot of hints and clues throughout the film that Jigsaw is back from the dead. And so the detectives have a race against time to try and find out what the hell's going on. Is John Kramer back from the dead? How are these bodies turning up everywhere? What's going on? Now, the traps, I've got to say, there was 1 or 2 traps in there that I thought were great. One is a trap that I know the makers of Saw have wanted to do for years. Hardcore fans can probably guess what that is if they haven't seen the film already, or if they have, you'll definitely know what I'm talking about. And it was realised to a big scale in this. And also the trap at the end I thought was quite neat. But some of the traps, when I say some, actually, a lot of the traps felt similar to traps that have come before. And that kind of made me like, oh, I've kind of seen this before. But then as the film goes on, there's kind of an explanation that you can read into why that is without me giving anything away. Now, the cast, I've got to say, is excellent. I really liked Clay Bennett as Detective Keith, and Callum Keith Rennie as Holloran was also very, very good. And they work with two coroners. There's Logan, played by Matt Passmore, and there's Eleanor, played by Hannah Emily Anderson. And both of these are very cool characters. As a new team setup, it's a great mix. New characters that you can, easily get on board with, and I liked that. And amongst the victims, we had Brittany Allen and Laura Vandervoort, Paul Braunstein and Mandela Van Peebles. I've got to say, Paul Braunstein was excellent in this film as Ryan. I thought he was very good. And Laura Vandervoort, who sometimes I can take or leave, she did a pretty good job in this film, hands down to her. Fair play. She did a very good job. But of course, the person who we were all waiting to see on screen was Tobin Bell, Jigsaw himself, John Kramer. Now, I'm not going to go into the specifics of how Jigsaw is in the film. When he first appears, it was a holy shit moment, like, what? And I really liked that. And Tobin definitely has more screen time than he had in Saw 3D, for anyone who's got concerns, because obviously that screen time in that movie for him was just pathetic. And, he's got a chunky role in this. So that should make a lot of people happy. Now, I'd say the film has two twists in. The first one, it's initially a bit like, wait, what? But then you can kind of understand, right, okay, that's what it is. And then there's the major twist at the end, which, to be honest with you, I guessed quite early on in the film. So that was a bit disappointing that I kind of guessed it, but seeing how it happened and played out was still pretty cool. Now, obviously, dealing with, a new Saw movie after all this time, it's going to raise a lot of questions, as I've said. That's why I'm going to do a separate spoiler video. But with these questions come some possible plot concerns, plot holes. And I think there could be some inconsistencies within the Saw timeline. So it's making me want to go back and try and splice that together and work out, right, let's see, how this has affected what's come before. Largely, it stands as its own film, to be honest with you. There's not too much connecting it to the previous 7 movies. Obviously, Tobin Bell as Jigsaw is the major connection, but there are some other little connections in there too, which for the hardcore fans they will love. But largely, I think this is kind of a semi-reboot. It's not a remake, it is a continuation, but it's kind of its own thing too. And I think that's kind of a deliberate move by Lionsgate to try and bring new audiences in. Was it scary? I've never found Saw scary, to be honest. I just enjoy it for what it is. Are the traps good? There are some great traps in there, but as I said, there's some traps that we've kind of seen before. The acting pretty much is very good. The script, for the first 10-15 minutes, I'm thinking, it's taking a bit to get going. But then when it finds its groove, it's, onward, just constantly onward until the end of the film. And there are some great scenes in this. There's some great character developments. As I say, the twist was a bit obvious, but I liked the way that it was revealed. There was moments where it had you second-guessing yourself. Really, really there were. I should also point out that Charlie Clouser returns for the soundtrack, which is as great as ever. Charlie is a big part of the franchise with his music. And you know, hearing themes like "Hello Zepp Again," it was just brilliant. So it really was a welcome return for the music of Charlie Clowes in the Saw franchise. And yeah, I enjoyed the film. I enjoyed the film. As I said, it wasn't the best Saw film, but certainly not the worst either. But the question that comes to me now is, do we need more? Is there going to be a Jigsaw 2 or Saw 9, whatever they want to call it? And this is where I'm really deliberating, because I feel like this, if it ended with this, it's a neat little epilogue story, and it kind of ties up a bit neater than Saw 3D. However, as I've said, it also raises some unanswered questions, which I'm sure has been done deliberately, you know, should they want to continue the franchise. And, you know, there are certain questions I'd like answered with regards to, is this a plot hole, or is this changing the timeline, or is there, you know, different things involved. But for the most part, it's an enjoyable film. I think Saw fans are going to love it. It was just great to be back in the cinema, seeing a Saw film, you know, on the big screen once again, seeing the Billy doll, hearing Jigsaw's voice on the tapes, seeing Tobin Bell do what he does best. It was brilliant. So I'm glad we've had Saw back. If this is the end, so be it. If there's more, I welcome it. So definitely go and check it out, guys. I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments if you've seen it. Any questions you may have as well, you can ask in the comments. And stick around very soon, because I'll be doing a full in-depth spoiler discussion of the movie. You're not going to want to miss that. You hardcore Saw fans are going to love this one. Okay, so remember, for all the latest film reviews, you can subscribe here on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter at BLMaiden, and Entertainment Zones on Tumblr at entertainmentzone.tumblr.com. And until next time, guys, take care and speak to you soon.